They're back. After a 2-week recess, the House and the Senate are back to work this week in Washington, D.C. There's a lot to do, so buckle up. I'm about to tell you the 4 big pieces of legislation on the agenda and the extra bonus items they're probably going to be talking about. In no particular order, here we go. The Biden administration is asking Congress this week to approve another tranche of money to provide more weapons to Ukraine. You probably remember when Congress approved $13.6 billion for Ukraine in the government spending plan back in March. Of that money, Congress gave the president the authority to distribute $3 billion as he saw fit. But at this point, the president has basically allocated almost all of that money. So he's going back to Congress this week to ask them to add another $713 million to the pot. It is likely this will pass, but how it's going to pass is going to be really interesting to watch. It may get wrapped up in another bill. This request is brand new, so it needs to pass both the House and the Senate. Another item on the agenda, the $10 billion package to fund COVID-19 government programs like free booster shots, vaccines, monoclonal antibody treatments, and testing. I talked all about that package when it passed the House back in March in this video. It still needs to pass the Senate, and the reason why it hasn't is because some Republican and Democrat lawmakers are holding it up. Why? They're concerned about the Biden administration ending a very controversial COVID-19 related immigration policy known as Title 42. I told you all about how that works back in this video in April. Title 42 is set to end on May 23rd unless the Senate and the House find an agreement to extend it. Another big piece of legislation that's getting closer to completion is the more than $52 billion bill that would, in essence, subsidize American companies as an incentive for them to manufacture chips in the United States. All of our computers, our cars, our appliances use chips, and the U.S. simply doesn't produce them the way we used to, so we have to import them, which you know is problematic because of the pandemic supply chain problems and the recent lockdowns in major manufacturing countries like China. The House and Senate passed 2 different versions of this bill, and this conference of more than 100 lawmakers has been trying to reconcile the differences for weeks. One of the compromises? Possibly removing some tariffs on Chinese imports. The bonus items on Congress's plate that you're going to be hearing about include the Senate is set to take up a bill that already passed the House that would cap insulin prices at $35. And believe it or not, some lawmakers, including Senator Manchin, are starting to talk again about reviving pieces of the failed Build Back Better bill, including pieces on healthcare, education, climate, and tax law. A federal judge is saying, not so fast. At least temporarily, when it comes to the president's plan to end a controversial immigration policy. Last week, more than 20 states sued to block the White House's plan to end Title 42 on May 23rd. And today, a federal judge from Louisiana issued this temporary restraining order as the case continues to play out in his court. Now, this is not over. I told you back in April in this video, Senate Republicans and even some Democrats were concerned about the president's plan to end the program, saying it was unwise as Border Patrol was warning of a possible influx of migrants just waiting to cross the border. Title 42 is an immigration policy President Trump enacted in 2020 that requires migrants to be expelled from the United States, mostly to Mexico, when they arrive at the border due to the threat of COVID-19, bypassing normal immigration screening procedures, including humanitarian protections under U.S. law. Since the start of that program, Border Patrol says more than 1.8 million migrants have been expelled from the U.S. under Title 42. No word yet from the Justice Department on next steps, but regardless of today's ruling, expect Congress to take this issue up again during this session.